Ghosts are among us. There's a bowling alley and a man with autism who gets sucked into the problem.
There's a nurse. She's not nice. We don't like her. Scully's gonna die.
This is not happening.
What is that look, Scully?
I would have thought that after 4 years you'd know exactly what that look was.
What, you don't believe in ghosts?
You're saying that what this man saw was the victim's ghost,
Sounds more like a disembodied soul.
which is just another name for a ghost, is it not?
Except according to Mr. Pintero, this one was trying to communicate. Was speaking to him as if she was trying to tell him something. It sounds more like a death omen.
Death omen.
Yeah, it's a spirit being that arrives as a harbinger of death. This is the third reported sighting in as many weeks, and as many murders. Each time the victim appearing near the crime scene trying to communicate, trying to say something.
Communicate what?
I don't know yet, but thank you. If you hold on a second, I may have an answer for you.
She is me.
What?
Written onto the wax. She is me. Look at this.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. You are listening to This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast with me, Andrew, and as always, with my good friend, Mike. Mike, how are you today?
I'm good. Just got back from the bowling alley.
Oh, yeah.
Rolled a few frames.
Tell me about that. How did you score? What were your scores like?
56.
Well, I think that's really good. I mean, I'm not a bowling expert, but that strikes me as a bit low.
It strikes you.
Punnery. See what I did there? I had a spare pun lying around, so I decided to.
You turkey.
Well, it's reset.
Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
This has been the show.
That's all you're going to get now is bowling puns.
Oh boy.
But well, what else is there after strike and spare? I don't think there's anything.
Just
You got to be in the right frame of mind, I guess.
Spare us the jokes and get on with it is what the listeners are saying.
Okay.
Strike forth and finish the episode.
Well, if you haven't guessed already, because this is the famous episode, Elegy, episode 22 of season 4, the often talked about, written by John Chabon, directed by James Charleston, aired in May of 1997. Is it often talked about around the X-Files water cooler, Mike?
It is a special episode, though.
It sure is.
But
no matter what you think about the episode, the real, standout point of it is Stephen M. Porter, who plays Harold Spooler. I think it's a compelling performance.
Yeah, I think it's good.
I mean, I think the script's a bit of a mess, but he
makes you feel for him.
He does.
Definitely.
It's some weird shit happening to this guy. And apparently there's a lot of bowling that happened in this episode, on and off the recording.
If you look hard enough in the background, you can see Jesus bowling a strike and wagging his finger at the Big Lebowski.
I think that would be a marvelous crossover. It hadn't come out yet, though, right?
Not yet.
And what a missed opportunity. Yeah, I don't know if we need to say a whole lot about it, other than this is director James Charleston's last kick at the can for the X-Files. We have seen his work before in Avatar, and more recently in season 4, he did Teleco, Synchrony, and he's about to do Elegy for us. So, Mike, do you want to shine up your ball, get your balls all shiny, and get ready to roll them for this episode?
Yes, my singular ball.
Let your ball drop.
I will shine it up.
Yeah, nice. So, without further ado, Mike, bowling. We open on a close-up shot of bowling pins being taken down by the automated arm at the end of a lane and being reset at Angie's Midnight Bowl in Washington, D.C. We pull back to see an older man cleaning up. This is Angie. At the shoe kiosk, another man painstakingly puts the shoes back in their proper slots. This is Harold, who likes to do things a certain way. When the owner, Angie, mentions that Harold should have gone home already and starts roughly putting the shoes away in the wrong places, Harold has what can only be described as a conniption fit and screams that he's not done yet. Angie's taken back, calming Harold and sending him on his way. The doctors will be worried about you. Harold leaves. Angie goes to finish putting the shoes away, but the sound of Elaine continuing to reset pins catches his attention. Going over, a bowling ball returns along the lane, and Angie absently touches it. It's sticky with blood. He goes to investigate, seeing that blood has pooled under the bowling pins. Looking up into the machine, which resets the pins, he sees the body of a young woman trapped, her mouth moving as she attempts to speak. Angie is suitably freaked out, running to get help, and no sooner than he's called 911, police cars are already arriving. He rushes outside to flag one down. The cop shoos him away. This doesn't concern you, sir. But he can't help but see the victim of the crime that these cops are investigating, the exact girl that he saw inside the bowling alley. That's her, he says incredulously. That's the girl I saw. And we cut to credits. Mike, what do you make of that?
It's an interesting setup. They're giving us a lot of information here.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the man with autism, that's going to be a big part of this episode. The fact that he's handicapped.
Yep.
And then the fact that we see a ghost, we go out and we see the dead person who was that ghost. That's a little strange.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's a lot going on here.
There is a lot going on here.
The setting of the bowling alley is strange too. I don't know. We're off to a start.
This is
a start.
It's apparently it's John Shaban. It's he's the one who came up with the idea of the bowling alley.
And I don't think it's bad. It's just awkward. I don't know.
It doesn't really offer anything other than a interesting location. Sure, I guess it makes sense, but
I think the only thing it really offers, other than the dead girl looks cool, mangled up in the pin return, it's a way to get Harold to talk about numbers. That is really all it is.
Sure. Our Rain Man moment. Sure.
Yeah.
I think I need to spend a minute or two talking about this ghostly death. Even though we haven't gotten into it, but I mean, I'm sure people have seen this episode or maybe will become familiar as we talk about it. But there are just some structural issues I have with the setup because like it's a ghost is what we ultimately come to learn, right? There's no evidence of it anymore after, the agents are going to come, they're going to see there's no blood, there's no body, the body was found outside. So this was a vision that Angie had, but he clearly sees blood on the ball because it's come back, it's returned, and there's blood under the pins, and there's weight of a body. Like Mulder points out that the machine has been damaged by something that's been crushed on top of it. So it's like, they're implying that no, there was a thing here. And there was the scrawl of "She is me" that he cunningly will detect soon by pouring soda on the floor. So I have to ask, where is this physical stuff happening if it's in fact a ghost? And I know you don't necessarily have any answers, but maybe you have some thoughts.
No, it's definitely one of those things that is wrong with the episode. Like there is physical manifestations of a ghost, which is fine. I'm okay with the blood. It could have been an apparition. He could have been affected in some way to where he really thought he was touching blood or whatever. The fact that the machine itself is broken, it doesn't have any significance. Like it should, but it doesn't. And that's a failing of the episode, a failing of the way it was written. And it looked cool.
It looked cool.
Make the death like it would have worked if someone in the past died there or something.
Yes.
But that's not where it goes. So,
and the she is me moment. I mean, I think later on they tie up the loose ends with suggesting that Nurse Innes is the one who is, she is the one who is putting out the thought of she is me into the world. But I don't understand how it's being scrawled in blood. It's being scrawled on the floor. Like, what is manifesting that? That is never made clear, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. If Ghostbusters taught us anything, ghosts can, they can affect books and fly them across the room. So maybe they can carve something into a bowling alley. I don't know.
As they're wont to do. All right, we're going to leave that and maybe come back to it later. Maybe it will become something we can make sense of, because right now, not so much. Anyway, after the credits, Scully is suiting up for a bowl, putting on her bowling shoes. Mulder is already at the end of the lane with Angie, and she walks over, crawling over in between Angie and Mulder. The bowling ball resetter is damaged, as if from weight being put on it, and this conforms with what Angie has reported, that the girl was caught up in the machinery, neck cut. But Scully notes that when Angie returned, the body and the blood were gone. But the woman in the parking lot was the same victim. They all scoot out. Angie insists he's not making it up as Scully and Mulder have a little chat. Is the victim a ghost, a disembodied soul, a death omen? Mulder's not sure what's going on, but there have been 3 such sightings this week. Mulder then proceeds to shoot a perfect strike. Nicely done. He's asked Angie for a soda, and Angie comes back with it. Mulder then proceeds to do some science, going back to the end of the bowling lane and pouring some of the cola onto the lane. It reveals a message scratched into the wax. She is me. Ooh.
How many takes do you think that took?
To do the strike?
The strike, yeah.
Probably a number. Although we know that he's a good athlete, so maybe...
He's a very good athlete, so he may have been on the bowling team as well.
It could have been. Well, we cut to a briefing. Detective Hudak is briefing a group of policemen. 3 victims, all women, approximately the same hair, eye color, and weight. Mulder and Scully are there during Hudak's briefing as he goes on to discuss the FBI's profile of the killer. As Mulder whispers something to Scully, he's called out by Hudak. Hudak immediately cements his position in the show. He's the no-nonsense cop that's not going to get along with these agents. But Mulder disagrees with the FBI profiler and wants to know more about the lead that seems to have been dropped, the statement of Angie concerning the wraith of the victim. The cops apparently received a 911 call from a nut claiming he knew Penny Timmons' last words, "She is me." But Penny's larynx was cut, so it's impossible she could have had any last words. But Mulder's not deterred and will follow up the lead for the very polite Detective Hudak. Well, Mike, how many cops have we had like this? The ones who have got no time for Mulder's shenanigans.
Got no time for his freaking spookiness. Yeah, this is just another one in a long line of cops that treat Mulder and Dana Scully like crap.
At least he didn't roll out the old classic line, I don't recall inviting the FBI.
Yeah. Who asked you over here? Not us.
Because apparently they did. They got a behavioral profile. But that's probably all they wanted. It's like, okay, thanks. We'll take it from here.
We'll take it from here. Ghosts and all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've cast our characters in nice, sharp outlines. So we're going to cut to the New Horizons Psychiatric Center, where a group is doing some arts and crafts. The collection of patients assembled before the doctor and our agents. Mulder asks if anyone used the payphone on Friday night. Doctor helpfully mentions it was Sloppy Joe night to report a murder. Everyone gets a little agitated, and one of the patients, Chuck, speaks up and confesses emotionally to having done it. But when the doctor asks him to tell the truth, he confesses that he's lied. He's only human. No one admits to using the phone. Mulder produces a photo of the victim. Harold glances over, and the rest of the group recognizes her as the murder victim. Scully produces a TV guide with Jay Leno on the cover, and the group immediately calls him out as the killer. Mulder asks about Harold, and the doctor says he's never had a problem with Harold, but Harold can get worked up. Mulder asks to speak with him. Meanwhile, Scully is going over the crime scene photographs as Mulder goes to speak with Harold. Scully notes that the third victim on her left hand, she wore a wedding ring, except she wasn't married. The killer moved the ring from the left to the right hand, and this has happened in all of the kills. Mulder asks if it's significant, and Scully mentions it might be ego dystonia, an OCD-like compulsion to organize things, describing what we've seen of Harold so far. But it doesn't usually lead to a murderous impulse. Mulder doesn't necessarily think that the murderer is here, but he's pretty sure Harold made the phone call. All right, so we got a lot of exposition so far. Any takeaways so far? Are you immediately suspecting Harold of having done it?
I mean, they want you to. They really do. But I don't know that I ever really believed it. That's too simple.
Yeah, it couldn't be that simple, obviously.
Yeah. The only thing I'm really thinking in this scene is that's Michael Puttonen, and we saw him in a few episodes.
We have,
including as a train conductor in 731.
a bigger role, and I'm surprised they didn't throw a mustache on him in here because he's pretty recognizable.
He is, but this is his last role. He does not come back.
I'm not sure I buy the whole ring business.
Yeah.
Because what they're saying is that all of the victims are unmarried but are wearing wedding rings. And the wedding rings are moved from where they should be to the opposite hand. So that is quite a victim profile. Like, the Hudak does go out of his way to say, look, it's the 3 women. They're basically all the same profile: age, look, height, weight, hair color, eye color. And now we've got this extra criteria of, and they all have to wear a wedding ring, but they're not married.
Just a lot of stuff to make the case seem more interesting than it really is.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, the other girl in this episode, in this room, in the day room, is Kate Braidwood, daughter of Tom Braidwood.
No kidding. Got her a walk on.
We saw her. Yeah, we saw her in the Pine Bluff variant as the lady selling tickets to the movie theater.
Well, and did she go on to a long and prosperous career in acting after this?
I'm not sure, but I don't think so.
You haven't heard much from Ms. Braidwood,
actress, 3 things. Last thing is in 1998.
There you go.
Sorry, Kate.
In their interview, Harold does not want to talk, asking to be left alone, denying he was involved. Harold rocks on his bed, only stopping when Mulder asks if he's ever seen a ghost. And then he completely freaks out, repeating no, 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 no over and over again. Harold then goes on to list numbers. Lots of numbers. And as we'll learn later, the significance of these numbers is, Mike?
It is their scores.
Bowling
their individual scores.
That's right. Well, Scully
Which is
goes...
interesting.
It is interesting. Did we get a 20 on when Rain Man has come out? It's already out by now, right?
It's already out.
I think it's 95. So I think there's a pull from that. But I'm okay with it. Well, Scully goes over Harold's file.
Harold Spuler suffers from pervasive developmental disorder, what is sometimes called atypical autism. He has spent his entire life in and out of facilities just like this one. He has been medicated, he has received shock therapy, and aside from his other disabilities, he has been diagnosed with severe ego-dystonic obsessive-compulsive disorder, which would explain the switching of the victim's rings.
So why all of a sudden?
You mean what made him snap? Well, I think his outburst clearly showed a frustrated impulse towards violence when he was put in a challenging situation.
That outburst didn't come until after I'd asked him if he'd ever seen a ghost.
Mulder, the man is disturbed. You could see the pressure building in him from the moment the interview began.
Yeah.
Why are you now so unconvinced that Harold Spuler is the man we came here looking for?
I'm sure Harold Spuler's the man that made that phone call, but what led us to him still remains unexplained.
She is me.
And the other apparitions, like the one Mr. Pintero saw at the bowling alley.
Well, I think I have an idea about that, if not an explanation. Harold Spuler is at this facility voluntarily, which means he can come and go as he pleases, to kill those women, or to hold down a job, or both.
So Scully is reading from this report and finishes, at which point a drop of blood appears on the page from Scully's nose, an ominous reminder of her condition.
That's the only thing we can do.
I know. She's off stage when she's having actual appointments and stuff, but
I feel like they could do something else to remind us that she has cancer. If they even need to, right?
They need to get her into the bathroom.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what they need to do. And this is going to be the way they do it, is to tap us on the head and remind us that she's in danger. Well, she goes to clean up. In the washroom, she washes herself off, looking in the mirror, and she sees the phrase, "She is me," has been scrawled onto the mirror in blood. Looking around, she sees an apparition of a young blonde woman wearing a Capital State University sweatshirt, mouthing some words as her cut throat bleeds. As Scully looks on incredulously, Mulder knocks on the door. She looks away and looks back, and the apparition is gone, as is the scrawled message in blood. Mulder comes in to deliver some bad news. They found another victim, a college student, just a couple of blocks from here. Cut to commercial. All right, what do you think of this first spectral reveal to Scully?
Well, here's the problem with it for me. And I'm not trying to shit on this episode. I'm really not.
You know, Mike, you're allowed to.
And I know I'm allowed to. That is our job, is to
No, it's my job.
find out what's wrong with it.
I'm giving you permission to crap all over this one.
It's just more interesting than the episode. Like, I want to find out when this happens to Scully. I'm like, okay, I see there's a connection to what's happening in the case. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But all it's doing is reminding me that she's got cancer, and I want to know how this gets resolved, right?
True enough, yeah.
That's just how I feel and felt. I didn't feel it the first time watching the episode. Upon subsequent watches, I was like, okay, I know where this is going, but now all I really care about is what Scully's feeling and dealing with. So that becomes more interesting than the actual case to me.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, my takeaway here is, again, the scrawl of "she is me," and I swear to God, they never really explain what that actually means. But if it's scrawled onto the bowling alley lane in such a way that Mulder can detect it by pouring cola on it, then should it be detectable on the mirror somehow?
Well, it's not saying. I guess I can defend the episode by saying that it's not saying that every time it's shown it was etched into something.
We've only seen it this time and another time.
Right.
Well, and Angie doesn't see.
It's fair enough. I mean,
Angie doesn't see the word "she is me" either. So,
right.
I mean, maybe it's there, but he doesn't see it. But it's just, just give me consistency. That's all I care about. You know, if you're going to, they do this sometimes. The bad guys develop new powers as the episode goes on, and suddenly he's an expert, photographer or whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But in this case, it's like, I don't understand what you're trying to do. It's spooky and weird, and I get that you just want to spook me out and weird me out, but I'm sitting here going, well, okay, what does it mean? But it is what it is, so let's just go on, I guess. Maybe it'll make more sense. I don't think so.
Oh, it'll make more sense. It will make more sense. This episode is pulling the rug out from under our feet at the end. This whole episode becomes really good in the last 5 minutes.
It's true. It's worth sort of sitting through this for that moment. All right. We're now at the crime scene. Scully's looking at the bottom of the victim. Lauren Heller, the same girl Scully saw as an apparition. Her ring has been switched like the others, providing another body for our serial killer, and the killing occurred less than an hour ago, which Scully thinks puts Harold in the clear, except it doesn't, as Mulder confirms Harold is nowhere to be found. He's escaped his room at the center. Scully decides to let Mulder look into the case and is going to go have her nose looked at. So look at you, Mike. You've called it. It doesn't have to just be nosebleeds. She can go and have an MRI whenever she wants, but she's not going to do that. Meanwhile, in a dark and gloomy location, Harold is doing something with sheets of paper, mumbling a constant series of numbers. Mark Snow's ominous music creeps up as Harold sees the phrase, "She is me," scrawled in blood on one of the papers. Turning around, he sees all 4 of the murdered women are staring back at him. He moans in fear, saying he just wants to be left alone. I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that?
No, I'd agree that you'd want to be left alone. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I talk to the ghosts every day, and they're just hounding me.
Yeah. So what we learn is that he sees dead people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We're going to cut back to Scully. She's getting some blood work done. Looks around the doctor's office, sees herself in a mirror, and the next thing we know, she's back in Karen Kossoff's office, where she reveals her cancer diagnosis. This is like visit number 3 to Karen Kossoff?
Yeah, pretty close. First one being in Irresistible.
Mm-hmm. I like they're bringing back.
Yeah, it's nice to see a familiar face when this is such an unnecessary character. Not unnecessary, but a character that, whatever. She saw a therapist for a while. But then here she is back again. That's nice to see that they actually keep it going for a little bit. Same actor and everything.
I guess, I mean, it is a bit of double standard. You'd never see Mulder having this conversation or visiting a therapist. So it's kind of underlining the idea that, men are stronger somehow than women. But I mean, obviously this is a vehicle for us to learn Scully's inner thoughts by her struggling to reveal them to a therapist. So as a vehicle for a scene, I'm okay with it. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was just saying it's nice to see
the actual actor come back.
Such an inconsequential character come back. Yeah, just randomly for a one-off episode. They trot out the Scully's too afraid to talk to Mulder thing again.
Oh yeah, that's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
Well, they discuss why Scully's continued to work despite her diagnosis, and Scully realizes she's come to rely on Mulder's strength. Scully then goes on to describe her experience in the bathroom. Did she see something because of the stress she's under, or did it happen? The woman was trying to tell Scully something, but Scully couldn't hear it. Meanwhile, Mulder's back at the bowling alley looking for Harold. Angie can't believe Harold is the killer. He's just this sweet kid. Harold was at the bowling alley in the morning, arranging the shoes. He doesn't have a key, but he knows a secret entrance through the abandoned building next door. From the bowling alley, Harold spies on Mulder and Angie. Mulder goes over to check it out, and he sees Harold slip away. He gives chase, and the two climb, and rush through the innards of the bowling alley. Mulder catches up to Harold in the back, tucked into a corner, repeating, "She is me," over and over as we cut to commercial. Here it is again, Mike. She is me. So this is what the wraiths are saying, I guess, yeah?
Yeah.
These are the last words, she is me.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make any sense that the wraiths are saying this?
No. And the audience will soon come to find out why.
Yeah. Okay.
And why not. I don't know. Mulder getting the slip put on him by a special person.
The special person knows the area better.
Right. That's true. It's true. I just can't help but question his police capabilities at this point.
All right. Well, you know how I have been on the fence about the quality of this episode, and you have certainly been on the fence because of the quality of this episode. It's about to take a turn for the better because we're about to go into the interrogation of Harold. He's about to be interrogated by Detective Hudak, but Harold's lawyer, one of my favorite retreads, Lorena Gale of It Said So in the Toe Tag fame, is giving Hudak the gears because of Harold's mental state.
I had this whole thing planned if you were not going to catch that, but yes. Very, very dead.
Oh, man. She doesn't have as good a role here. It's a bit more straight, but I wish it was more like just deadpan, akin to her corner character.
Is very, very innocent.
But they don't let her have that. They just, make her a stock attorney.
Yeah.
Well, Hudak immediately does not play ball, accusing Harold of committing the murders, which sets off Lorena. Mulder takes over, suggesting to Harold that he's scared because he's seen the dead women. Mulder names the women, which prompts Harold to recite sequences of numbers. So he does this for Missy Shapiro and Michelle Chamberlain, and in both of them, he's able to recite this series of numbers. Harold also knows Michelle's shoe size, 6.5. Well, in Hudak's eyes, that makes him completely culpable. Meanwhile, Harold is...
He's a sicko.
He's a sicko, yeah. He's practically bouncing in his chair, hyperventilating. Mulder suggests that Harold can prove his innocence. I think it's a bit of a leap here. I don't know how Mulder comes to this conclusion at all, but he does. So our next scene is Harold, his lawyer, Mulder, and the police going back to the bowling alley, again going into the bowels of the building. They find Harold's secret room, where we see what Harold had previously been doing, gluing bowling score sheets onto the wall. And now I think about it, I guess Mulder has seen this because he's been in that room. So he maybe does have cause to know what this is.
Yeah.
We learned that Harold has memorized every player's score, including all 4 of the victims. Maybe not memorized, he just has this innate Rain Man-like ability to pull these numbers in and they're just stuck in there. However, this doesn't really prove anything. And Harold looks over and sees an apparition. This is Angie, the bowling alley owner. while Harold freaks out, running from the room to the main lobby where a crowd is gathered and a cop has given up on trying to resuscitate the body of Angie, who has had a heart attack and died. Harold
Everyone
keens over the
gives
corpse.
up.
He does. It's like, you try for like 10 seconds and like, well, he's goner.
Call it. He's done. My pizza just finished in the back.
Yeah, I have not put my lips on his again. Well, Harold keens over the corpse as Mulder comforts him. There. Meanwhile,
There, Harold.
it'll be fine. Your closest
Things
friend,
are okay.
Your closest friend in the world is in a better place now. Meanwhile, at Scully's apartment, she's praying in a bathrobe when Mulder arrives, looking for advice. He reveals that Angie's died of the heart attack, but Harold had a premonition of it.
I don't understand.
Harold saw an apparition. What may have been Angie Pintero's disembodied soul at the moment of or just prior to his death.
How do you know?
Because I was standing right there when he saw it.
But you didn't see it yourself?
No.
Why?
I don't have that facility, that kind of connection to the victims that would have made such a vision possible.
What's Harold Spieler's connection?
I don't know its exact nature, but I think it has something to do with his autism. That Harold experienced a profound attachment to these victims, but because of his disability was unable to express the depth and power of those relationships. So somehow a psychic or preconscious bond was formed that went beyond the temporal.
Oh, wait a minute. So Harold knew the people that were killed?
Yeah, from the bowling alley going back 7 years.
Even if what you're saying is true, Harold wasn't the only one who claims to have seen these apparitions.
No. But he does have something in common with those who had the visions that is quite powerful in its own right.
Which is what?
Well, they were all dying. One of emphysema, one of cancer, and now Angie Pintero.
Harold Spieler's dying too?
Well, that's what I need your medical opinion on.
So the scene fades to commercial with Scully looking quite stricken. And Mike, is this callous of Mulder to throw this in her face?
She's obviously been affected by something. He could have at least just talked to her. I don't know. She's showing a lot of signs outwardly that she's struggling. And he just kind of, technically he's not in the wrong, but he's in the wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that it's about, it's cementing the wall between them right now because she isn't confident enough to tell him what she's seen, and he is proceeding on the basis of, well, she says she's fine, so I've got this idea. She's the most qualified to run this test, and my thoughts, so I think you should just do this. So I like the conundrum it puts her in and the pain it puts her in of like, oh, damn, he thinks that dying people see these visions, and that must mean I'm a dying person.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's not in the wrong for bringing this to Scully. Obviously, that's what he's going to do. Maybe he is so dead set on her being okay that he just doesn't even think about it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is too.
And to be fair, that's probably what most of us would do. We want to believe our friend is going to pull through a terminal illness, but you know, we're giving more attention to it than it deserves, probably.
Yeah, probably.
But you know, that's where I'm going.
It's a great scene. Come on.
It's a great scene.
After the commercial, we fade into Chuck lying in bed at the New Horizons Psychiatric Center. Chuck, hearing voices outside his room, gets up to investigate. Peeking out into the hallway, he sees Harold being taken back in by Dr. Albert. The doctor hands Harold his meds, trying to get him to take his medication, but ultimately he leaves him in the care of Nurse Innes, who proceeds to show us just what a piece of human trash he is, as she teases him about his girlfriends, how he was in love, his pictures, and that no one could love him because of how ugly he is. Outside, Mulder arrives, connecting with Dr. Albert and discussing an examination of Harold. A scream is heard in the distance, and Mulder rushes in to investigate. It's Nurse Innes, who's been hit in the head by Harold, ostensibly. Scully arrives, passing by Chuck as she arrives to the scene. Nurse Innes confirms that Harold's attacked her. Dr. Albert shuffles off the patients to bed and then chats with Mulder and Scully. Mulder tells him to call Hudak. Harold's got to be arrested. The agents lament that they were wrong about Harold, but seeing Chuck lurking by his bedroom door, Mulder thinks that maybe there's more that can be learned from him. Now we cut back to Nurse Innes, who, accompanied by an ominous music sting, pulls a knife from her pocket and tucks it into another pocket.
Yep. Just as confusing as the episode's through line.
It's obviously a cutaway shot to show us she's the one who's inflicted a wound upon herself and that she's got this nasty knife and that all is not...
Yeah.
I mean, we already know that she's duplicitous, but like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sure.
She is airdropped in as the bad guy.
She is. Yeah.
And now she's doing all these evil things right at the end of the episode.
Yep.
Like talking to this person horribly and treating them horribly.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's got the mysterious knife. And it's like, I don't feel like it's earned. Like, I knew Harold wasn't the bad guy, but I needed it to be more of a reveal.
So I argue that it would be more effective if we had this sequence right at the beginning of the episode or shortly thereafter. You know, if we know it's her, we don't need to see her doing the murders, but we know that she is not a good person. So that when we get on later into it, we can go, okay, it's not Harold because it's her. But I agree with you. Yeah. The idea of parachuting her in as the villain does not work.
Yeah.
So Scully goes off to talk to Chuck. Chuck goes to great pains to spell out his name and confirms that Harold is his friend. Chuck also asks Scully if Harold is dying. He thinks that Nurse Innes is trying to poison Harold because Harold told him so. Harold hasn't been taking his meds. Chuck is adamant that Harold wouldn't hurt anybody, leaving Scully to wonder what's true and what isn't. Chuck then goes on to produce some photographs, school photos of each of the victims. They're Harold's. Apparently, Nurse Innes also knows about these pictures. Scully starts to put the pieces together and then goes to visit Nurse Innes in the bathroom. Gotta ask at this point, how does Harold get these pictures?
Maybe he is a creep.
Maybe they are friends. Maybe they gave them to him willingly.
No, all of them just willingly gave him pictures. I don't know. I think on a weird level, Harold may be a predator. And
it's one of these things. It's like, I've stopped wondering anymore about this episode. But what? Yeah, well. Let's just get through it. Nurse Innes is a bit shaken up, going to take some medication when Scully arrives. Working with these people, she says, it starts to drive you crazy too. Scully clocks the tan line of a missing wedding ring on Nurse Innes' finger. Asking more about Innes' family, we learn that she lives alone. There's just the one kid that her husband ran off with. Innes drops a handful of pills that she was carrying. It's enough for Scully to think she's going to take her into custody. Tells Innes to come on outside with her. Innes pulls the knife and thus starts a relatively shabby fight scene, complete with dangly piano fight music. But after being thrown around a bit, Scully produces her gun and tells Innes to drop the knife. Innes lunges off and slits Scully's throat, and she bleeds out.
Yes,
in the bathroom.
she dies.
Horrible. You know, this is how it ends for Scully. Crazy. Well, now we cut to Mulder in a hallway where a shot rings out. He bolts into a run, entering the bathroom where Innes has taken a bullet to the shoulder. Scully's taken some cuts to the hand, but she's okay. Spotting the knife, Mulder goes to take it when Scully correctly suggests that he should bag it. It's probably a murder weapon. All right, we're coming in for a landing, Mike. Later, Innes is being wheeled out on a gurney. Scully relates what she's learned. Nurse Innes had been taking Harold's meds, clonazepam and clozapine. Clozapine? Clopazine? I like clopazine better, actually.
Clopazine. Clopazine.
It makes you go clip-clop. So this can cause violence and unpredictable behavior. The two chat about the possible reasons why this could have happened, but it doesn't come to much. Mulder, burying the lead, reveals that Harold has been found dead in an alley a few blocks away from respiratory failure.
Oh.
What?
John Shiban, what are you doing?
It's like he's the pivotal character in your entire show, and he dies off scene.
They found him. He died. He's fucking dead.
I don't know how. I guess his heart he died of a broken heart. That's probably how it happened.
He realized he couldn't jack off to the pictures of the women that he stole pictures from.
He was about to be found out as a predator.
He was about to be found out as a sex predator, even though he is handicapped.
He's a complicated guy, is what I
He is a complicated guy.
Well,
you feel bad for him, but you also want him to die.
Yeah, the death has moved Scully. She doesn't think Harold was dying, but rather he was killed by Nurse Inez as a result of what Inez took away from him. She's worked up, and Mulder can sense it. He asks if that is her medical opinion. And finally, Mike, she tells him of her vision.
I saw something, Mulder.
What?
The fourth victim. I saw her in the bathroom before you came to tell me.
Why didn't you tell me?
Because I didn't want to believe it. Because I don't want to believe it.
Is that why you came down here, to prove that it wasn't true?
No, I came down here because you asked me to.
Why can't you be honest with me?
What do you want me to say? That you're right? That I believe it even if I don't? I mean, is that what you want?
Is that what you think I want to hear?
No.
You can believe what you want to believe, Scully. But you can't hide the truth from me, because if you do, then you're working against me. And yourself. I know what you're afraid of. I'm afraid of the same thing.
The doctor said I was fine.
I hope that's the truth.
I'm going home.
With that, Skulder... No? Her name is Skulder. Skulder.
I let a Sculler slip by, I think, in the last episode, too.
Nice. With that, Scully walks away, leaving Mulder frustrated. In her car, she has the beginnings of a good cry. When she glances in her rearview mirror and sees Harold sitting in the back seat of her car, she whirls around, but the back seat is empty. The scene fades to black. She's not sure what to believe.
So what's his message?
Fucking
creep.
Yeah.
He is me. He is you.
Yeah. Well, there it is.
There it is.
I got to say, I went into it a little bit more positive than I came out of it. I have a hard time with this one. I don't think it's good.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Yep. Anyway, Mike, please give me your final thoughts for Elegy.
Trying to do too much with a very bad script. The whole episode suffers from, what am I missing? As you're watching it, you want to be interested in what's happening, but you can't help but pick it apart. And the parachuting in of the bad guy, the bad woman in this case, it's like, we need to end this and we need to do it now. And we don't really have a place to do it, because the whole time they've been trying to point the finger at Harold, and we all know, even first time viewers,
Yep.
it couldn't be him.
Yep.
So they need it to be someone. And who else but the person who has one scene in the beginning of the episode? Like, that's typical. That's a very cliche thing to do.
Could have been Dr. Halpert, I suppose, or could have been Detective
Yeah, I mean,
Hudak. Not going to be them, but you know.
The whole episode's just weird. And like I said in the middle, once Scully has a vision, that's all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's more interesting than what's happening here, because it hasn't grabbed my attention yet. Even the intro was confusing and it felt clunky. I'm not looking at it from 30 years down the road. I'm trying to remember how I felt when I first watched it. And it's just a weird intro. And I don't know. They were just trying to throw too much. The bowling alley is just a set piece to get to the numbers, to get to the women. And really, like, where does your mind go when it's, okay, Harold, it's cute that he had crushes on women. That's what you're supposed to think. But then you find pictures of them in his room,
and all you can think is, where did they come from? Exactly.
Where? So is it still cute? No, because if I did it, it'd be fucking creepy. And then he's memorized their bowling scores. He knows their shoe sizes. This is nuts territory, and it's not because he's mentally handicapped. It's just creepy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, I think you do know. I think you've nailed it, really. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting collision of ideas. I mean, autism mixed with ghostly apparitions with this serial killer through line. I mean, really, the emotional heart of the episode, it's the continual revisitation of Scully's cancer diagnosis and how she deals with it. And I'm on board for that. The episode itself proceeds with this workmanlike fashion through the investigation. It's kind of a jumbled mess. I mean, I don't think it moves fast enough to be jumbled. It's just messy. Like, there are things that they drop, this whole she is me thing. It just doesn't amount to anything. It
doesn't make sense.
It's meant to be kind of big and weighty, like it's written in blood, but it doesn't mean anything to me, and it doesn't mean anything to our agents. Mm-mm. And the fourth act revealed of the antagonist, it just is like, okay, now we got our villain now. Okay, cool.
And you don't care who it is.
No.
You're just like, all right, someone needed to go down for this.
Yeah, exactly. And then the final crime in this episode is Harold dying off stage. I don't understand that choice. It's like,
let's ice him off stage.
Karmically, I don't even know why he dies. Like, they
want it to be sad,
I suppose.
And I don't really care.
Exactly. It's at the end of the day, I just don't understand why it had to be off stage. Like, it needs to be, if you want the confrontation, it needs to be that Nurse Innes is going to do Harold in, that he's now truly the victim. He's been the victim all along, and he needs to be rescued by our agents. And if he's going to die, it's tragic because, they got to him just too late. Mm-hmm. You need to see Harold's ghost before he dies. That's the full circle moment to this episode is he's seen everybody's apparitions and now Scully is seeing apparitions and she sees his apparition and then he's dead. Mm-hmm. But instead they do this thing at the end where she sees him in the backseat and it's like, oh no, I've been watching. That doesn't happen at all in this episode. So if we're going to say that now Scully sees dead people, I demand that we see that in episodes going forward. But guess what? That's not going to happen. So there's that. And then the scratching of the she is me. If Nurse Innes is the bad guy, then is she doing the scratching? How does the ghostly body damage the bowling ball resetter? There's just so many things. And I'm like, you did not piece this together well.
The problem is it looks and feels like it was approached like, oh, this would be cool.
It would totally.
Oh, this would be cool.
Wouldn't it be cool if parts? Yeah.
Oh yeah, this will be cool. Throw that in there. Why not?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry, John Shaban. This is not one of your best.
I would agree with that. Now, 2 things save this episode. Number 1, Lorena Gale is the attorney, and only because it reminds me of her in a better performance. And number 2 is the whole, Mulder Scully conversation about the nature of mortality and stuff. I mean, there's a good acting in there. It's a good script, but it's like you have that in these episodes where there are moments of goodness and even absolute turds, and I think that's one. So for me, you could totally skip this episode.
Oh yeah. Big time skip. Don't even look at it. We should take this moment to honor Lorena Gale.
Absolutely.
Sadly, she did pass away in 2009. She is one of our favorite characters, non-important characters of the X-Files, for one simple reason, and that is her first episode, Shadows. And sadly, she has passed on. So
I would watch an entire series of Lorena Gale pissed off corner. I mean, just steals the scene in that role.
Makes that episode watchable.
Exactly. An otherwise unwatchable episode with Lorena Gale. And one pull, like the whole glasses that he has his glasses and he puts the fingerprint on them.
Yes.
Whatever. It's like,
if that is her contribution to the X-Files and if that is her legacy, is making shitty episodes watchable.
Yeah.
For one scene, then yes. Thank you, Lorena Gale.
Thank you, Lorena Gale. All right, Mike,
let's go to our listener comments.
Oh, wait, nobody cared enough to write.
Nobody cared.
And I can't blame you. Like, what would you say about this? I mean, exactly. I know generally people want to say nice things about things, so I'm not surprised that this did not rank
People
highly.
did not even come to try to defend this episode. So I think they knew we were going to skewer it.
It's possible. Yeah. Well, maybe they'll talk about it after. Maybe there'll be some post-episode follow-up. They'll be so incensed by our skewering of the episode, they'll rush to its defense.
Dare you call a mentally challenged person a creep? Even though he's collecting photos of young women and sniffing their shoes when they're done with them? I don't know.
Oh, there was one that they could have had. Yeah.
He has a heart attack in the middle of a big whiff.
Dies with his shoe on his face.
Oh my God. Better episode already.
So many things could have saved this episode. Oh.
Harold the Creep.
All right, Mike, I think that's it for this one.
That's it, yeah.
As per our custom, I shall give you the final word.
Ladies and gentlemen, ghosts are real, and should you see one, it's not good. It's not like Ghost Adventures where you have to try and get in contact with it. You don't want to get in contact with these because they mean you're going to die. So get those wills in order. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at tinhxfilepod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.